Hi, everybody. I wanted to talk about this Taurus sun energy coming in and how important it is to look at where you were about 4 or 5 weeks ago when Aries season came in. And with the spring energy and the cosmic influences inviting you to just take that leap into the next whatever it is you've been envisioning, whatever it is your heart's been wishing. We've all had this level of inspiration that we've probably been taking some kind of grounded, continuous action step with. And Aries is all about just get out there and just do it. Just start the project and figure it out when you get there. You don't have to have all your ducks in a row. You don't have to have the step-by-step process laid out for you. You can just really get in there. And that's what we've been invited to do energetically with the influences around us. And a lot of people, I know I always feel this at each spring. And this spring, we have all 12 planets going forward. So there's nothing in retrograde. I think last year was the same thing as well. But there's just all this extra added cosmic support to do that. And for me, I like to, if we think about the last 4 or 5 weeks and what we've been working on, you can even think about like the last few years or even the last like chunk of years. Like what's been your journey? Where have you been? What kind of put you on this path? What's been inspiring you? Where has your heart been leading you? Where did that kind of, if you think about a point in your life where you were headed on a certain trajectory, and then you got, maybe it was a life event, maybe it was really uncomfortable and difficult, or maybe it was just your curiosity that took you. But if you start thinking about how your life pivoted from one place into another, and what kind of simple lessons or simple things might you want to revisit? So for me, it was, well, for me, I started thinking about the simple teachings of the Four Agreements and how that book really inspired me about 20 years ago. And going back and revisiting certain wisdoms that maybe I've taken for granted. Like they came in and they started to come into my psyche. And they really influenced me and shaped the way I was thinking. And then I continued going, and I didn't really revisit it or whatever. I've been on a journey. And so if you come back, like, okay, so with Aries, and Aries is naturally, has this natural confrontational thing too. So if you have been working through something new in the last 4 or 5 weeks with this last lunar cycle, you've probably gone through you've had to face some awkwardness. You've had to renegotiate your dynamics, maybe with your schedule, with different people. You might have learned that some things don't work for you, some things you want to refine, or maybe you're less inspired for certain things, and maybe your vision has shifted. But nonetheless, like, there's probably been some serious movement in your life in the last few weeks. I'm willing to, that energy is so abundant, and we're all being affected by it. So I'm just willing to assume that you've been going through something new in the last few weeks. And the challenge right now is or the invitation, should I say, is to kind of slow down and look at what is showing up for you in the way of what have you learned about yourself when you step into the unknown and when you have to rely on your internal character resources to smooth out awkwardness. And that naturally comes. These are the natural steps when you step into something new. This is like basic hero's journey model stuff right here, okay? So you have to go through that ordeal of awkwardness, which is such a yummy, magical place. And then you have to kind of renegotiate your relationships with other people who are used to you being in a certain way. And maybe even it doesn't even have to be socially, but it's like you have to renegotiate your schedule in a certain way, your habits in a certain way, your internal conversation with yourself. And then you might feel inspired to edit. You might have an awareness around something that it didn't really, you thought it was a good idea, and now it turns out the reality is that it's not. So you kind of reshape and refine. So you've probably gone through a little mini hero's journey in the last few weeks. And with Taurus coming in and inviting us to slow down, but to get very intentional with the frequency, we are grounding. Taurus is fixed earth energy, and that means unmovable, unshakable, slow, deep, rooted earth energy that's available right now. And it's beautiful, and it's helpful. It's really taking this step can really support the rest of the foundation that you're going through with the things that you're doing, with the personal journey you're doing. So you can really reap in this cosmic fixed Taurus earth energy and say, no, this is who I am. A few months ago, I had an idea and I started working with it. Even a few years ago, I got set onto a new journey. But right now, with the cosmic energy available, every single planet going straight forward, nothing in retrograde, Taurus, and in a few days this weekend, we're going to have a new moon in Taurus. So you can even really work with it these next few days, and do something to really bring in that new moon energy to anchor it in. And it can be a really powerful platform for you to lay the foundation of the next level of who you are. Okay, so and then I'm doing a video. I'm making a video, yeah. Okay, so and I'm thinking about how 20 years ago I was sitting at a bar with a woman. I was grabbing a quick drink before I hopped on a bus. I had got off work. I remember it was still daylight out. I remember I really wanted to get on the bus before it was dark. And I remember having a beverage, an adult beverage. Like, I quit drinking over 3 years ago. But I was thinking about, this is me in my early 20s. And I was living in Portland, Oregon. She was visiting. She was working on some project. I think she was a marine biologist, actually. But she gave me the 4 agreements from her purse, and she asked me to read it, and then she asked me to pass it on. She said, it's a quick read. It could change your life. It really helped me. But I'd love for you to read it and pass it to someone. So I did that. I agreed to it, and I did it. And it really did shift the way I was relating with myself, the way I was relating with other people. And with Aries and everything and all the challenge energy, I feel like Aries really helps us with boundaries and redefining ourselves. And with that, when you set that energy out in your field, it's going to get tested. It's like, oh, is this really who you are? And you always have to, anytime you shift your energy field, you're going to naturally meet resistance. That's just what happens. But when Aries is kind of like, it can come up confrontationally, and I felt like I had to set boundaries with people in the most surprising ways. Like, the things that came out of my mouth was like, why do I have to ask someone to knock on my door before they come in my house? Like, why do I have to, it was the levels of ridiculousness that I had to set, surprised me, but I really felt like it was Aries kind of saying, if this is really who you are, you're going to have to meet challenging energy in the moment, which I felt like I could have done so much better. Like, in the moment, I felt like I was tested, and I felt like I could have done better. But naturally, we're going to have to set the resistance energy. We're going to have to set our energy in a way that redefines who we are. And that comes in, it can look like confrontation. Okay. So and for me personally, I had to revisit, don't take anything personally, and don't make assumptions, and to really anchor into this, a heart space, to really anchor into a loving, sensitive person who respects herself and respects other people without making assumptions about what they think. Because my assumption was like, this person doesn't have respect for me. And taking things personally, like, I can't believe they don't have any respect for me or something, you know. That was my internal dialogue that I had to call myself out on, that I had to really like look at and go back to the simple teachings that I learned about 20 years ago. But this is the other thing about our journeys, is we're going to, after we learn something, we have to really anchor it in. We're going to relearn it. It's going to be another layer of an onion peel. It's going to come in, and the teachings can always deepen. And I feel like this is really beautiful Taurus energy to say, okay, what is it that I really know? And how can I really anchor it into such an unwavering sense of who I am, so I don't have to waste so much time, so much energy on defining myself to myself with my own, like, with the way I'm talking to myself, with the way I wish I would talk to other people, or the way I have to kind of struggle in those moments. It can just be a simple, like, oh no, that doesn't work for me. This is actually what works for me. Like, how can I find finesse with my boundaries so I can just stay anchored in myself without taking them personally and without making assumptions? Because I feel like that's a big part of setting boundaries. A lot of the time I might be silent because I'm assuming that they're going to react a certain way if I set a boundary. Or I might sit and feel hurt because I have a story I'm taking something really personally about how someone's behaving towards me. So that's just another thing, though, and another invitation of, like, as you're anchoring into your new sense of self, or the new steps you're making, don't forget to anchor into where you've been, the new things that kind of set you, or the old things that set you on a new trajectory in your life. But visit them and look at how can they be really helpful for you right now, because those are old. Especially if they're a few years old, those can be pillars of wisdom that you anchor yourself into right now. Okay? So, and if you want to go on a one-on-one process with me, I'm happy to support you with anchoring your archetypal frequencies with 3 sessions. It's a simple package that I have for you. I'd love to start after this next week with the new moon in Taurus. And so we'll go over, I'll give you a small video digital class on how to work with archetypes, really understanding the language of archetypes, reading your internal archetypes, and then you're going to be understanding the archetypal dynamics around you. And we're going to get really into how you speak to yourself, and what kind of stories how you're defining yourself when you relate to other people, and what that looks like archetypally. And the energetics of your archetypes are such power. It's a powerful tool to really hold responsibility for your frequency. Because when you catch yourself in a place of taking something personally, you catch yourself in a victim kind of mindset, you understand that's like a frequency you're anchoring. So you can shift into an alchemist type of, the energetics of victim, and if you're feeling victim and you want to shift in victorious, okay, this is my story, this is what I own, or even that hero, like this is the frequency I'm activating. I'm activating the positive aspects. This is my story, and these are the protection that I'm holding, or this is the unapologetic shield that I'm holding because I recognize this in me right now. And so when we're really tuning into the story that we're telling ourselves, we can understand what kind of frequencies we're holding. And when we hear the language coming at us from other people, from the relationship dynamics we're navigating, we can hold our energetic field more responsibly, and anchored in our heart, anchored in our sense of center, and set the boundaries with spiritual maturity, so we're not even letting people into our energy field by taking them personally. Okay? And so also with this, this is about really supporting you in your next level sense of self and giving you a listening tool to anchor in that spiritual awareness, personal maturity, and getting technical with the energetics of your field, of your energetic field. So I'm offering a 20-minute archetypal mapping session where you can get a sample of how this looks and how this works. Let me know if you're interested. I'll also link my schedule below, so you can just schedule and I'll send you a confirmation message to make sure that works for me. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you are enjoying this new shift of energy as we really ground and anchor in with this Taurus sun season.